For 5 years, OpenAI has been the most valuable AI company in the world, the company behind ChatGPT, the company that started the AI race, the company that made the rest of Silicon Valley scramble to catch up. As of Thursday, that changed. On Thursday, May 28, Anthropic, the company behind Claude, announced a $65 billion funding round at a $965 billion valuation. That puts Anthropic ahead of OpenAI, which was last valued at $852 billion. For the first time in this industry's history, Anthropic is the most valuable AI company on Earth. And they did it in a single day. On the same day they released a new flagship model, reported a revenue run rate of $47 billion, and what may be their final major private funding round before going public. Here is everything that happened, what the numbers mean, and what comes next. The Series H round was led by Altimeter Capital, Dragoneer, Green Oaks, and Sequoia Capital, each putting in more than $2 billion individually according to people familiar with the matter. Also participating, Capital Group, Coatue, D1 Capital Partners, Bailey Gifford, Blackstone, Brookfield, D.E. Shaw, DST Global, and Fidelity. The round includes $15 billion of previously committed hyperscaler investments, including $5 billion from Amazon, part of Amazon's previously announced commitment to invest up to $25 billion in Anthropic over time. Micron Technology, which reached a $1 trillion market valuation this week, also contributed to the round. The previous valuation, set just 3 months ago in February's Series G, was $380 billion. The new valuation nearly triples it, in 3 months. For context, it took Apple 20 years to go from its 1980 IPO to a $1 trillion valuation. Anthropic went from $4 billion in early 2023 to nearly $1 trillion in 2026. 3 years. Anthropic said the funding will support safety and interpretability research, expand compute capacity, and scale Claude products and partnerships. That is the official statement. The practical translation: they are buying the infrastructure to stay at the frontier of AI capability, and they need an enormous amount of it. The valuation would be hard to justify without revenue. Anthropic has the revenue. The company's annualized run rate crossed $47 billion earlier this month, $10 billion at the end of 2025, $30 billion in April, $47 billion in May. That rate of growth is not a software company trajectory. It is something closer to a commodity market responding to a structural shift in how the world works. The engine behind much of that growth is Claude Code, Anthropic's AI coding assistant. It contributes roughly $2.5 billion in annualized revenue on its own, and it has become a standard tool in software engineering teams at companies ranging from startups to Goldman Sachs. It is not a consumer product people casually use. It is professional infrastructure that companies pay for continuously. Enterprise adoption more broadly is the bigger story. Anthropic now has more than 300,000 business customers. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Salesforce, Pfizer. The depth of deployment at institutional clients is what converts a revenue run rate into a durable business rather than a product moment. The funding round was not the only announcement on Thursday. Anthropic also released Claude Opus 4.8, its newest flagship model. Releasing a major new model on the same day as a record funding round is not a coincidence. It is a statement. Here is the product that justifies the valuation. Here is the capital to build more of it. Opus 4.8 is the model that will run the enterprise deployments, the coding tools, and the financial services agents that are driving the revenue numbers. Anthropic has also now publicly confirmed Claude Mythos Preview, its most advanced model, which made headlines earlier this year for its extraordinary cybersecurity capabilities. Mythos is available to a select group of trusted organizations through Project Glasswing, Anthropic's controlled security research program. The existence of Mythos as a confirmed commercial capability is part of what institutional investors are pricing in when they write $2 billion checks into this round. The competitive context matters here. OpenAI was last valued at $852 billion after closing its own record-breaking $122 billion funding round in March. Anthropic's $965 billion valuation overtakes that by over $100 billion. Both companies are now in a race to reach $1 trillion in valuation, and both are widely expected to do it through a public listing. TechCrunch described Anthropic's Series H as what could be the AI startup's last private fundraise before its IPO. The practical implication, the S-1 filing, the document that begins the public listing process, is now likely this summer. The investor lineup in this round tells you something about how the IPO will go. Fidelity, Bailey Gifford, and Blackstone are all names that appear in IPO allocations for institutional investors. Their participation in the private round typically signals they intend to be anchor investors in the public offering as well. The round is partly a financial event and partly a rehearsal for the IPO roadshow. OpenAI's own IPO plans remain active. Having the two most valuable AI companies both heading toward public markets in the same year, potentially the same quarter, is a dynamic that has not existed before in any industry. The comparison will be relentless, and it will drive enormous public attention to both offerings. No Anthropic stock exists to buy today, but here is the current landscape for investors who want exposure. Alphabet, Google's parent, holds roughly 10 to 14% of Anthropic. At the new $965 billion valuation, that stake is worth approximately $95 to $135 billion, roughly 4 to 6% of Alphabet's total market cap. A meaningful number. Buying Alphabet is the most liquid way to get Anthropic exposure today. Amazon has committed up to $25 billion in Anthropic, including the $5 billion in this round. Given Amazon's market cap, the Anthropic stake represents a smaller percentage, but the strategic value is significant. Anthropic runs on AWS infrastructure, and every dollar of Anthropic revenue is correlated with AWS usage. Pre-IPO secondary platforms, Forge Global and Equity Zen, list Anthropic shares for accredited investors. With the new valuation, previous share prices on these platforms are likely to move sharply. Minimum check sizes of $10,000 to $25,000 apply, and these investments are illiquid and speculative. Finally, if and when the S1 is filed, likely this summer, the IPO itself will be available through standard brokerage accounts. That is when retail investors without accredited status get their first direct access. Watch for the S1 filing date. If you use Claude and you are not an investor, this round still matters to you in two ways. First, capability. $65 billion is primarily compute capital. More compute means more powerful models trained faster. Opus 4.8, released recently, is the direct product of Anthropic's previous funding. Whatever comes after Opus 4.8 will be built on the infrastructure this round finances. For Claude users, a near $1 trillion Anthropic is a more capable Anthropic. Second, mission stability. Anthropic was founded explicitly to build AI safely, not as a side project, but as the central operating principle. Going public introduces shareholder pressure that can distort that mission over time. Anthropic has governance structures, including the long-term benefit trust, designed to protect the safety mission under public market conditions. Whether those structures hold under the scrutiny of quarterly earnings calls and institutional investor pressure is the most important long-term question for anyone who cares about how this technology develops. The S1, when it is filed, will tell us more about those governance arrangements than any press release has. That is the document to read carefully. Anthropic is now the most valuable AI company in the world. The CNBC, Bloomberg, Axios, Reuters, and TechCrunch reports covering Thursday's announcement are all linked in the description below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for breaking AI and tech-related news every week. Thanks for watching.